Hello, everyone. Again, this is Jeff Dalgard with NexInfo Solutions. Thank you very much for taking time out of your hectic day to listen to a discussion regarding advanced fulfillment and supply orchestration, the SCM Cloud. The presenter will be Mahesh Nahala with NexInfo Solutions as well. And for us to be able to give you this presentation, I wanted to give you a quick overview of why we've earned this opportunity. Now, as a whole, NexInfo is a consulting firm. Now, our focus, of course, has always been helping clients achieve operational excellence, and we do that through an optimal blend of business process and software consulting services. Now, we have deep domain expertise in a wide variety of arenas, including IBP and S&OP, enterprise resource planning, product lifecycle management, and then a host of others, and of course, this topic here. We were founded back in 1999 and have been managed by computer industry and business process professionals. And our clients vary from emerging markets to Fortune 1000 firms. And we do have some recognitions, including from Gartner reports, the Silicon Review, and the CIO Review seen there. Partners, we have several, including Oracle, of course, SAP, and some others, including Microsoft, Kinaxis, and Vanguard Software. Our headquarters is based in Orange County, California, with offices throughout the country, in fact, world. And we have offshore resources in Ireland, UK, Switzerland, Belgium, and India. Next slide, please. And in fact, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mahesh, where he can briefly discuss his experience and, of course, the meat and potatoes of the presentation. Mahesh, the podium is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff, for quick introduction about the NexInfo and the presentation. So, hello everyone, this is Mahesh Nalla. Good morning and good afternoon wherever you are. So, I'm having, I work with NexInfo Solutions since almost 7 years. So, I'm having around 10 plus of years experience as a Oracle supply chain and planning consultant. So, I worked on multiple implementations and the support projects, starting from the business process requirements until to the go live. So I'm Fusion certified implementation specialist. Worked on 3 to 4 implementations on the Fusion. So that's quick introduction about myself. With that, I'm going into the agenda. So agenda for today's presentation, I'll start with a brief case study, and from there I will walk you through the advanced fulfillment techniques within the Fusion. So for that, let's see what are the fulfillment complexities any manufacturing industry or process industries that they have after they receive the order. What are the complexities they go through? We see that, and then from there I'll talk about what is the advanced fulfillment process end to end in Fusion. So with the flow diagram, I'll walk you through that. Then we'll talk about what fulfillment techniques Fusion can handle in the latest R13 version of the Fusion. What all fulfillment techniques the Fusion can handle. Okay. So from there, I'll talk about the supply chain orchestration overview, which is very new to the Fusion. So this is something that doesn't exist in EBS. This is something called totally new to the Fusion. So we'll go through that in detail. What is supply chain orchestration means? Then we'll see how supply chain orchestration handles the change management and and then I'll walk you through in detail about the fulfillment process flows in cloud. Then I'll show you some screenshots about the Fusion Cloud. So this is the agenda for today's presentation. So quick reminder about submitting questions. So please submit your questions using the questions options on the sidebar, and I will take up all your questions at the end of the presentation. So I don't miss anybody's question, or also if the time constraint is there, I will respond back over the email or somewhere. Okay. So before I go into the topic, let me launch a quick poll just to get the pulse of audience. I'll launch 2 questions to see how familiar are with you with the fulfillment techniques. Okay. So just select an option. I'll wait for 10-15 seconds for each question, and I will launch 2 questions. So I'm launching my first question. So how familiar are you with Oracle's advanced fulfillment techniques? So just select one of the options. Not familiar, somewhat familiar, familiar, very familiar. Okay, I got some responses. Okay. Okay, I'm launching my next question. Which advanced fulfillment techniques does your company organization currently use or planning to use? Back-to-back supply creation and fulfillment, drop shipment, consigned inventory, contract manufacturing, outside processing. Okay, I'll wait for a couple more seconds. Okay. So I got mixed response for this, like some looking for back-to-back manufacturing, some looking for consigned, and somebody looking for contract manufacturing. So basically, pretty much I'm gonna cover these topics in this presentation. And also for the first question, I got the responses like some like 50% not familiar, and some are like familiar to some extent. So hopefully this presentation will give you good insights into the fusion advanced fulfillment techniques. So saying that, I'm going into my presentation. So this is so as I said, I'm starting with the case study. So the case study basically here is provided basically our recent implementation for one of the medical devices company. It's a manufacturing company for the medical devices, and we implemented advanced fulfillment processes for them. So when we went there, the scope for us is to resolve the issues with the fulfillment process. When I say fulfillment, order fulfillment process for custom orders, and also outside processing activities that they were having. So when I say custom orders, they were having some special quality check requirement, or the special label requirements, or the special manufacturing requirements based on the customer they are that they are receiving the order from, also based on the country they are sending it to. So that's what the custom order says. So they are having some issues with the custom order. When there is a when they receive the order, they couldn't able to check the on hand properly, or they couldn't able to drive the manufacturing functionality properly. So that's one of the issue they were having before we implemented this advanced fulfillment process. And the next challenge they were having is ability to provide the delivery date or the promise date to the customer. As soon as they receive the order, they couldn't able to provide the correct promise date to the customer. And the other issue is a manual process for tracking outside processing operations. So some of their products, they don't have capability to process within their unit. So they were sending it for the outside the manufacturer. So and those processes they were handling it manually. Like there is no integration between their purchasing module and this manufacturing module. So that link was missing, and they were handling that process totally manual. And the other thing is difficulty handling supply or demand changes and issues with reservation. So for these custom orders, whenever there is a change in the supply side or the demand side, they couldn't able to like correlate them properly, and also they couldn't able to make reservations between the supply and the demand. So that's another issue they were having with their earlier process. And they were also came up with some reporting needs, and they wanted to have end-to-end automated process starting from the order creation until the fulfillment. So these are some of the key challenges or requirements for that manufacturing company. And in one liner, I'm specifically saying we streamlined their order to fulfillment process and implemented fusion advanced fulfillment techniques like the back-to-back process and outside processing. These are the two techniques we implemented for that client. So as I said, like this is a brief use case or the case study that I wanted to provide. I want to spend more time on the application features and all that, so that you will get to know what this client benefited from in implementing these fulfillment techniques. Okay. So fulfillment complexities. So why all the manufacturing process businesses or the order fulfilling businesses are looking for the advanced fulfillment techniques? What are the fulfillment complexities? So fulfillment complexities are arriving because in today's competitive world, to meet the customer requirements and to deliver it on time and to reduce the delivery time, so businesses are expanding their channels. Even if they have capability to manufacture or not, they are expanding the channels to meet the customer needs. So when they expand the channel, that may be buying it from the supplier and sending to the customer directly, which is like dropship process, or doing the back-to-back process, which is back-to-back process is nothing but the custom based manufacturing. So after you receive the sales order from the customer, you manufacture the unit and send it to the customer. So you don't store that within the unit, or because of the high price or the low running item. So that's another process that businesses may looking into, like back-to-back process. Or like you may get it from the outside, like manufacturing it outside the unit, like some of the operations you process it from your third party vendor and deliver it to the customer. So there are many complexities arriving because of the heavy competition from different vendors, and also because of like high delivery costs and delivering it on time. So these are all giving the fulfillment complexities. So this is the reason everybody is looking for the system which can handle their different fulfillment process automatically. So that's what it is: reduce cost, reduce delivery time, and deliver on time. So these are the three things that are driving everybody to look for the advanced fulfillment process. So going into the advanced fulfillment process within the Fusion. So here in this slide, you see there are three steps at the high level: capturing the order, promising the order, and fulfilling the order. And at high level, these are the three steps that happens in the fulfillment process. So what comes under capture? So capture is nothing but entering the order in the system, pricing the order, and submitting the order. These are the three things that comes under capture, and that is handled by Fusion Order Management. Okay. So once you Fusion Order Management and Fusion Pricing. So those are the three things that are two modules that handle these three steps. So once you submit the order, the next step is promising the order to the customer, like to give the promise date or the delivery date to the customer. That's when the GOP comes into picture, global order promising. So as soon as you submit the order, the full information is sent to the GOP engine, and GOP looks at your current sourcing rules, ATP rules, and other constraints that you set up in the system, and it will look for a correct source that can deliver the goods as early as possible, and it will promise the delivery date to the customer. So that you will handle under global order promising. So once the global order promising does figure out the date and the source for the supply, it will send the information to something called supply chain orchestration system. So supply chain orchestration, what it basically does is it receives the supply request from the different systems, and it will talk to the supply creation systems. So when I say supply request system, here is the GOP, and supply request creation system may be your internal warehouse or the external supplier or your manufacturing unit. It may be anything. So it will talk to that specific unit and make sure that the supply creation happens. So that's what the supply orchestration role is. Between the it acts as an interface between the supply requesting system and the supply creating systems. That also automated and integrated with your other modules. So once the supply chain orchestration receives the information, it will talk to the manufacturing system or the procurement system or the inventory. It may be any of these three systems based on what global order promising is requested. So that's the supply chain orchestration role is. So as you see here, all this full end-to-end process is fully integrated, and there is no external integrations need to be built or no manual steps involved. So because of this fully integrated process, there is a decrease in fulfillment errors. The reason that there is a decrease in fulfillment errors because your full end-to-end system is automated, and as soon as you submit the order, there is something called order orchestration process that gets kicked in and sends the information to the GOP automatically. And GOP process will take care of promising the order, and it will process it. It will send it to the supply orchestration. So that's how the link between different modules exists, and that's the reason there is a decrease in fulfillment errors. Increased revenue and margin. That's because you will deliver the goods on time to the customer and promptly with less number of errors, less internal, less manual work. So there is a increase in revenue and margin, and so similarly increase in customer satisfaction and reduce time to market. So those are the advantages with Fusion Advanced Fulfillment Process, which is tightly integrated with many modules. So now we looked at the advanced fulfillment process. Then what are the fulfillment techniques available within the Fusion? So the Fusion can handle back-to-back supply creation and fulfillment, which is the sales order driven process. Like as soon as you receive the sales order, your supply creation process gets kicked in. So that's what the back-to-back process is. And it can also handle dropship process, which is basically you receive the order, but you send it to the supplier, and supplier will deliver the goods to the customer. So that's basically the dropship process that can also be handled in Fusion. And the other thing is internal material transfer. So internal material transfer may be inter-org transfers or intra-org transfer or intercompany transfers. It can be anything, and all those three processes can also be handled using internal material transfer. So consigned inventory. Consigned inventory is basically you have an agreement with your supplier that you possess the goods, but until you consume them, you will not pay to the supplier. So that's the consigned inventory process, and that is also supported in the Fusion. Full end-to-end consigned process is supported. And the next is contract manufacturing. So contract manufacturing is basically you deliver the raw materials, and also you will deliver any other required things to your third-party manufacturer, and they will manufacture it for you, and they store the item. They may ship it to the customer or ship it back to you, and you ship it to the customer. So and that's basically contract manufacturing, and that is also supported here in Fusion. And outside processing. Outside processing is basically part of your manufacturing. You transfer it to your third-party vendors. They will process some of the operation steps within the for that specific product, and send back the semi-finished good to your warehouse, so that you finish it and send it to the customer. That's basically the outside processing. So that is also supported within the Fusion. So all this process we look at in detail in the next slide. But here I just wanted to highlight what are fulfillment process that Fusion can handle. So before I go into that different fulfillment process in detail, I wanted to talk about the supply chain orchestration. So supply chain orchestration is basically a backbone infrastructure that delivers end-to-end supply execution and management across supply chain management cloud. So all the processes that happen within the Fusion supply chain cloud, that goes through the supply execution system, which is nothing but the supply chain orchestration. So what it basically does is receive supply requests from several sources operating in the Oracle Cloud. So those sources may be order management, GOP, your planning engine, or inventory. So all these are the supply request generating the systems. What it does next is launch and manage complex business process. It can handle also automated change management to match supply and demand. So let's say there is a change in the demand, or there is a change in the supply. So it will automatically look at those changes and manages them accordingly without any need of running the collections or any data transfer. So it will look at the changes immediately and it will act upon it. And it will provide a 360-degree view of supply creation process. So let's say your as soon as after the order is received, and it's a back-to-back make item. So after the order is received, your order management team wants to see how the manufacturing process is going on. So if they go into the supply orchestration window, they can see the full work order process, how it is going and at what step it is processing and how much more time it's going to take. So it will show them full details right from the supply orchestration window. So that's the reason it says as a provided 360-degree view of supply creation process. So these are the main 4 steps that supply chain orchestration handles from the point of supply creation process. Also, it can handle exceptions and change management, as I said, like automated change management that it can handle. So with that, I'm going into the supply lines overview. So within the supply orchestration, full supply orchestration process goes beyond something called supply line. So what the supply line is, it is basically a supply line that is generated for every supply request received from the GOP or the order management system, and it handles full information where the supply source is coming from, what is the supply request type, what are the item details, how much quantity I need to make this per, and what is the supply status, current status. So that is what basically handles everything under supply line. So there is a page called manage supply lines. As soon as you go there, you see full information related to that one specific supply request. Similarly, there is something called supply tracking line. So what the supply tracking line does is, all the supply line goes under the supply tracking line. So supply tracking line holds additional information like attributes or the execution documents information, everything that is held under supply tracking line. So as soon as you click on the supply tracking line, it will take you to the supply line along with some other additional information like execution documents and some other attributes and everything. So this is the main page when coming to the supply orchestration, which is called as the supply lines overview page. This is the landing page where it will give you full picture of how your supply creation process is currently going on, how many are errored out, how many in jeopardy, how many are waiting for some errors to be resolved. So it will give you the full picture of the supply generation process. So with that, I'll show you in pictorial view how the supply chain orchestration works. So with the very first step, as I mentioned, is receiving the supply request to create a supply. So that supply request can be from the planning central. So when I say planning central, like equivalent to ASAP in EBS or the MRP planning, that's planning central in Fusion. So when you release a planned order from the planning central, that is basically a supply request, and it is transferred to the supply orchestration. So that's why one of the supply requests may be from the planning central, which is for the standard orders or the contract manufacturing process, and the other request may be from the GOP and the order management. This basically comes into picture when you have a back-to-back process or the contract manufacturing. And the other supply request may be from the inventory for your min-max planning items. So when you run the min-max planning engine, it will generate, it will look at your current on hand, and it generates the supply request to get the buy item specific items from the supplier. That is based on the min-max planning. And also other supply request is the internal material transfer request. So this internal material transfer request can be created within the system, or you can upload, do some spreadsheet upload also. There is something called FBDI template within Fusion. So you can upload the internal material transfer request using the spreadsheets. So basically, these are all the supply requests that are going into the supply orchestration process. So once it receives the supply request, then it will determine the process to use. So when I say determine the process to use, what it does is there are two things that supply orchestration holds, something called execution rules and the enrichment rules. So execution rules is basically you are there are rules which determine when there is an, like example, let's say there is an internal transfer request that supply orchestration received. So what this execution rules does is, based on the rules that you set up, either that internal transfer process may go through the transfer order process or the purchase order process. So, but the standard way is it always goes through the transfer order process. But if you set it up such a way that my internal transfer orders go through the PO process, it can look at your setups and it will trigger the PO creation process. That's what the execution rules mean. Basically, when the supply request comes, you are creating a rule and putting into the supply orchestration system to derive the next step. So that's what basically the execution rules means. And the next thing is enrichment rules. So enrichment rules also basically, like let's say there is a transfer order, and that transfer order by standard it does not go through the order management system. But your company has a requirement that all my internal orders also should go through the order management process, so that the order management person prioritizes internal orders beyond external orders versus internal orders, and can ship them accordingly. So if there is a need, such need, then you can create an enrichment rule and make all the transfer orders go through the order management system. So that is handled under enrichment rules. So these are basically two different setups that you perform under supply orchestration, and that will derive the next steps of the supply creation process: enrichment rules and execution rules. Then assign and launch appropriate supply creation process. So that is what basically happens during the supply creation process. So once it determines the process to use, then it will execute the predefined process. So when I say execute the predefined process, basically like scheduling the overall process steps. When I say it's scheduling the overall process steps, let's say it received a back-to-back order for the make item. Then what it does is it will see how long it will take to make this item based on the work definition or the lead times that is set up. So that means it will schedule the overall process step to determine start and end process of each step. So in each of the steps, how long it's going to take. So like let's say you have a step for after the manufacturing, you have a quality check step. So it will basically look at all the steps and gives you what is the start date for the manufacturing and what is the end date. Similarly, for the purchase requisition to PO process, it will give you the start and end steps. And also it will identify and responding changes to supply and demand, overall progress tracking. That's what it will do under the execution. And the fourth step is interacting with the execution system. So what it will do is it will always be in touch with the execution system so that it can keep updating the supply creation progress if there are any changes within the execution systems, like in the manufacturing system or the procurement systems. If there are any changes, it will just keep updating the information onto this supply orchestration window. Also to the other processes like GOP and all that. So at high level, these are the 4 steps that supply orchestration go through: receive supply request, determine process to use, execute the steps, and interacting with the execution systems. So with that, going into the automated change management. So what it basically does is it will handle both demand side changes and the supply side changes. Like if you see it from the demand side, it can handle cancellations, request date changes, quantities. And from the supply side, it can handle cancellations, quantity changes, and any supply delays or the changes in the dates. And because of this, you can prevent excess inventory buildup and reduce cost for handling exceptions. And also manual intervention is reduce errors associated with the manual changes because of this automated tracking between supply and demand systems. So you will reduce the errors that are associated because of the manual intervention. So basically no manual intervention needed, because as soon as there is a change, the system automatically reads it and takes care of it. So what are the supply side changes that it can support? Supply side changes, it can support supply quantity changes. If there is a cancellation, like basically you have a PO, you created a PO for particular demand, but because of the supplier constraints, you are able to, you should cancel it. Then it will handle the supply order cancellation, and it will go look for the next source to fulfill the demand. And the changes in dates which supply become available, that is also automatically handled. And if there is a split in the supply, like if you are splitting the supply between two POs or the two manufacturing work orders, that can also be handled using the supply orchestration. And basically demand side changes, cancellation of demand, increase or decrease in the demand quantity, and need by dates changes can be handled using the demand. Like if these are the demand side changes, it can also be handled automatically. So in the next slides, I'll show you how it automatically handles with the screenshots. But basically at high level, this is how it works. Like it basically receives the supply request, creates the supply creation, and also automatically handles all the changes from the both sides. So that is all about supply orchestration process. Now I'm going into the fulfillment process little bit in detail. Okay. So the very first process I'm showing you here is the back-to-back overview. So back-to-back fulfillment process is one which is specific to sales order. Like here, basically the sales order is the demand. As soon as you receive the sales order, supply creation process gets kicked in. So basically, customer places order with you. Booking after the booking happens, system automatically creates and reserves supply based on, if it is a buy item, it will be an external supplier. If it is a make item, it will be your like work order. And if it is a transfer from different organization, it will be internal transfer. So it can be any of these three processes that is handled using the back-to-back fulfillment in the Fusion. So it can be buy, make, or transfer, or it can be on hand also. So you have on hand existing and you want to reserve it to specific order, that can also be handled using the back-to-back process. So basically this is used mainly for the slow moving items, or items that cannot be stored, or items that are specifically customized for the customer. So that's where the back-to-back process is mainly used. So here for the very first step is order management, capture and manage the sales order. Then the next step is order promising. So you pass this information onto the order promising, where it looks at your sourcing rules and all that, and it will schedule the order. Once it schedules the order and figures out the source, that is passed on to the supply orchestration. So supply orchestration will create the supply order. If it is a buy item, it will create purchase requisition. If it is a make item, it will create a work order. And then it will request supply documents. Supply documents is nothing but PO documents in case of purchase order, or if it is a work order, and if there is an internal documentation required, it will receive those documents requests, and it will create a reservation. That happens through the inventory process. So hard reservation happens between that work order or the sales order or the purchase order or the sales order. And it will keep monitor the supply document to see how it is progressing. That monitor is happening continuously. And if it is a manufacturing, as I said, it will create and complete supply document within the manufacturing or the procurement inventory, and the reservation happens within the inventory module. So this is at high level back-to-back process, and this is fully integrated, no external integrations or no manual process required. For all the buy process, make process, and the transfer process, all the functionalities is fully available within Fusion. So the next process is the internal material transfer. So internal material transfer basically is an automated or manual transfer request for materials within or between organization, like inter-organization or intra-organization. And if it is between two different legal entities, it can be intercompany process flows. So that is also comes under the internal material transfer. And you can transfer material from an inventory destination or an expense destination. It doesn't matter. Like you can transfer the materials between both. And a single transfer document can act as both supply and demand document. Okay. So from the process flow perspective, internal material transfer can be kicked in from your back-to-back process or your min-max planning or your regular planning engine. So from any of these processes, your internal transfer process can kick in. So after it receives the internal material transfer request from any of these, supply chain orchestration kicks the supply creation process, and based on your enrichment rule or the execution rule, it will determine if this internal transfer should go through the transfer order process or the purchase order process. So if it is a purchase order process, then it will go take the purchase order route. If it is a transfer order process, then it will look at your enrichment rules, whether the transfer order should go through the order management step or go through the shipping directly. So the way you set up the enrichment rules, it will pass through the order management, and order management team will prioritize between the internal orders and the external orders, and then they will handle the shipping process. If there is no need of going through the order management, then the shipping process can start automatically, and then the receiving of goods happens at the destination organization, and costing and accounting kicks in. So supply chain orchestration is again fully integrated with something called finance orchestration. Very similarly, as we have for supply chain process, there is something called finance orchestration process also. Both are tightly integrated, and pricing and taxing calculation happens automatically as the changes happens within. If there are any price changes or the tax calculation changes, that can be handled automatically, as there is a tight integration between both orchestration process, SCO and SFO. So this is at high level the internal material transfer processes. Then the next is contract manufacturing process. As I mentioned, contract manufacturing process is basically you will outsource the manufacturing to the another organization, and in this process you may supply some raw materials to the contract manufacturer so that they will use those raw materials and manufacture the product for you and ship it back to you, or send it back to the customer, ship it back to the customer. So it's basically fully integrated contract manufacturing process. It can be for make to stock or make to order, and you have complete visibility into your partner's operation. What this means is, with the contract manufacturing process, you create a virtual organization within your system. You define a supplier, and you also create a virtual organization for that CMO. And every time you receive a item from that CMO, you create a work order within your virtual organization to keep track of full manufacturing process that happens at the CMO. So that is what complete visibility into your partner's organization. And also you can plan and supply components to contract manufacturing. So if there are any components that you are supplying to the contract manufacturing, you can plan for that component based on the work definition or the routing that you define within your system under this virtual organization. And also ship directly from the contract manufacturer is also supported. So here, if you see, you release the sales order to create a supply, then automatically the contract manufacturing process kicks in based on the item attributes that you set up. So it happens, it triggers both the process, work order creation within your manufacturing system, and it sends the purchase order to the contract manufacturer. So, and your contract manufacturer, as soon as he finishes the process, he can communicate it back to you so that your manufacturing system can get updated and you receive that manufactured product within your organization, and also he can ship it back to the customer. So here, if you see the in detail flow, so the order management process, creating a sales order, this is the first step. Then the order promising engine gets kicked in, and for scheduling the sales order, and the supply orchestration create a supply order and notify OM. So work order creation happens within your virtual manufacturing organization, and also at the same time there is a PO process that kicks in, which can be sent out a PO for the service item. So you are receiving the service from the contract manufacturer. So it creates a PO for the service item that is linked to this manufacturing item, and that will be sent out to the contract manufacturer. So you receive the update and request manufacturing and update the work order details within your virtual manufacturing organization. So there are three different methods the way your contract manufacturer communicate back the production progress. So one is, there is a web service available called Operation and Material Transaction Web Service. If you expose that web service to your external manufacturer, he can report all the progress through using that web service. That is one option. Or you can give him some pre-formatted spreadsheet provided by the Oracle. So if he fills in that sheet with all the production progress for the work order, you can directly integrate that with your manufacturing within your organization, and manufacturing process will take care, like material consumptions and the production completion, everything that can happen. Or manual process, you get it over email, the full manufacturing progress from your contract manufacturing, and manually update within your virtual organization. There are three steps that are available that you do send an upgrade request to manufacturer. So it depends on how that your organization specifically wants to handle. So next is outside processing overview. So outside processing is basically, as I mentioned, is where one or more operations of work order are outsourced to a supplier. So in this example, if you see, there are three steps: 10, 20, and 30. 10 and 30 performed your within organization, and 20 you are sending it out to your third-party vendor. So this is also supported within Fusion. As soon as you create a work order and release the work order, PO gets kicked in for the service item, for the service, and as soon as you complete the operation 10, along with this product, it will create a shipping document to ship this product to the supplier, and also it will kick in the purchasing process for the service that you receive from the supplier. So it has a tight integration between the purchasing module and the manufacturing module. And as soon as you receive the PO for the service item back from the supplier, the operation 20 within your organization gets completed, and the 30 it shows as ready to process. So this is basically you'll use the to manufacturing cost or the production cost, or you if there is a capacity overload within your organization. So in those examples, you can go with the outside processing. So basically, the very first step is manufacturing process, manage work order, create a work order, and schedule a work order with the supplier operation. So what supply orchestration does is, it creates a purchase request for the service, and also at the same time, after you complete the execute work order with supply operation, then it will create a shipment request for that semi-finished assembly to ship it to the supplier so that it can process the next steps. So both process supply orchestration will take care of, like, creating the shipment request and creating the purchase request for the service. So then under the purchasing, you approve the purchase requisition, and purchase order is created and sent to the supplier. Similarly, for the shipping, you'll ship confirm the shipment, print out the shipping documents, and ship the semi-finished product to your supplier. Then once the service is completed, create an ASN, receive and deliver to manufacturer, and final step is receiving and accounting steps. So this is at high level, the outside processing that Fusion can handle. So we have 12 more minutes. So here I quickly want to walk you through the screenshot. So as I said, like this is how the supply orchestration landing page looks, where you can see what is the supply type, what is the item, if that supply type is how many errors for that single item, and any exceptions, jeopardy, everything you can track on the landing page. This I'm skipping for now. So I'm basically saying here, supply lines are aggregated or grouped by the following. So they are grouped usually by the make item or the buy item or the transfer, or based on the source of source. You can group your landing page. You can configure your landing page based on various factors. That's what I'm trying to specify in this slide. And the 360-degree overview, as I said, the very first step is the landing page, where you see the summary, and then you go into the single supply line, where you can see error messages and the status and everything, and supply order detail page, where you see each internal steps under the supply line, that is the supply order detail, and finally you can navigate to the execution documents also. This is what 360-degree view means. So overview, individual supply line, and supply order detail under each line, and finally navigate to the execution documents. So this is the landing page. Okay. So here I am showing you the supply line. So this is called as the supply tracking line. When you click on the supply tracking line, it will take you to the each individual supply line. And another thing I want to highlight here, if there is an error in the supply creation process, let's say here if you see the attribute price is required, the attribute charge account is required. This is in case of buy item. So as soon as you you see the error, you go check the item and update the attribute price, and just come here, refresh or resubmit. It will automatically create a supply order for that item. You need not to run collections and do release again. So there is nothing like that. So if there is a planned order error, like you release a planned order from your planning engine, and there is a error triggered because of some attribute missing, you take care of that attribute, come here and just do resubmit. It will process the supply request. That is another nice functionality of the supply orchestration process. It will check the attribute changes and the supply demand changes on fly. So after you click on one of the supply request number, it will show you in detail what is the status of that supply request, where it is processing, and what are all the steps that are involved in that, and how long that it is going to take for each step. This is what supply order detail screen is. Okay. So another as I mentioned, you can see the execution documents also. From here, after you select the supply line, just click on the execution documents. It will show you corresponding requisition or the work order number. And right here, if you click on that requisition or work order number, it will take you to the detail screen. Like in this case, this is the purchase order, and it is showing you the full purchase order details. And similarly, for work order. So for work, this is a make item, and for work order, it is showing you all the steps that are needed and when it is going to complete, by what date. So right now it is at the reservation step, and it to be completed work order completion and fulfillment completion. And similarly, it will show you the work order number, similarly like it showed for the other buy item. So here, if you click on the work order number, it will take you to the full work order details. So this is how you can see full end-to-end supply creation process from the supply chain orchestration. So with that summary, so I covered the fulfillment complexities, and we went through the how fulfillment process works in Fusion, what are the techniques available, and I provided in detail supply orchestration overview, and we talked about how change management happens within the supply orchestration, and we looked at in detail process flows for some of the advanced fulfillment techniques, and also showed you how we track the supply lines in supply orchestration. So that's the end of this presentation. Let me go check for the questions. Okay.
There are a few questions within the chat function, Mahesh.
Yeah, yeah, I'm going there. Yes.
And feel free to add any additional questions at this point.
So how are reservations managed in back-to-back processing? So, so as soon as the supply is created, after you receive the sales order, as soon as the supply is created, like a purchase order or the sales order, hard reservation happens automatically. That's a hard reservation until you go manually unreserve the unreserve the between reservation. So that reservation happens automatically with full process. That's the supply chain orchestration functionality that handles it. So that's how the in reservation happens in back-to-back processing. So what happens if supply request exceptions are not resolved? So if the exceptions are not resolved, that supply exception you see it there until it's resolved. That's the first step. Or you create another supply request from the supply request. Let's say there is a item attribute which supply orchestration cannot handle. So in such cases, even if after you resolve the exception, you have to run the collections and let GOP look at it, and then you have to create a supply request process again. So that's how you handle if the supply request exceptions are not resolved. And another question is separate licenses required for the supply orchestration. No, this is no supply, not supply separate license is required. Like if you it is automatically comes with your planning licensing, so it is there is no separate licensing required for it. So yeah, that's all I have. Any other questions?
I believe there's
Okay,
one
if
more
no
question.
question.
I'm trying to pull it up now.
Okay.
It's under the
Sorry.
question
Yeah.
section. Yes.
Yeah. I just saw it. Yes. If we have different ERP for order management, can SCMPs be integrated? Is there case study where we have multiple ERP environment, say more than 10? Yes, we can integrate different ERP for order management. So there are web services available which you can use. Like if you're planning to use GOP within Fusion, but you create the orders outside, that functionality is available, that can be handled. But specifically, if there is a case study where we have multiple invoices, say more than 10, that I don't have a case study available. I mean, I have case studies available for integrations, but if you say more than 10, I did not understand what you mean by more than 10. If not, what would be the timeline we can see this functionality? This new SCM support constraint plan. Yeah, constraint plans are not yet supported. Regarding the timeline, I'm not sure exactly. I think by end of 2019, they said they will release it, the constraint plan. So that's one question, new SCM support constraint plan. And this is regarding the timeline, and this is regarding the integration. So integration, yes, it's pretty much possible using the web services. But case study, I don't have any case study with more than 10 external systems. Can you specifically say like what functionalities you are looking for in Fusion and what functionalities you want to keep outside Fusion? but the integrations are pretty much available.